Hello, Dragonkeeper19600. And no, I don't know what that gesture was. Welcome back to Dragonkeeper19600. Me reads Les Miserables. We begin with today's chapter, which is simply titled Javert. Ooh, I'm excited, guys. Okay, let's begin. This one's actually much shorter than last. It's much shorter than the last chapter, so this video is not going to be as long, which is a little disappointing, but this chapter is still fun, so here we go. Monsieur Madeleine had Fantine taken to the infirmary, which was in his own house. He confided her to the sisters, who put her to bed. A violent fever came on, and she passed a part of the night in delirious ravings. Finally, she fell asleep. Toward noon the following day, Fantine awoke. She heard a breathing near her bed, drew it aside the curtain, and saw Monsieur Madeleine standing gazing at something above his head. His look was full of compassionate and supplicating agony. She followed its direction, and saw that it was fixed upon a crucifix nailed against the wall. From that moment, Monsieur Madeleine was transfigured in the eyes of Fantine. He seemed to her clothed upon with light. He was absorbed in a kind of prayer. She gazed at him for a long time without daring to interrupt him. At last, she said timidly, "What are you doing?" Monsieur Madeleine had been at that place for an hour, waiting for Fantine to awake. He stood by her bed for an hour. He took her hand, felt her pulse, and added, "How do you feel?" "Very well. I have slept," she said. "I think I am getting better. This will be nothing." Then he said, answering the question she had first asked him, as if she had just asked it, "I was praying to the martyr who is on high." And in his thoughts, he added, "For the martyr who is here below." Monsieur Madeleine had passed the night and morning in informing himself about Fantine. He knew all now, he had learned, even in all its poignant details, the history of Fantine. He went on, "You have suffered greatly, poor mother. Oh, do not lament. You have now the portion of the elect. It is in this way that mortals become angels. It is not their fault. They do not know how to set about it otherwise. This hell from which you have come out is the first step toward heaven. We must begin by that." He sighed deeply, but she smiled with this sublime smile from which 2 teeth were gone. Monsieur Madeleine wrote immediately to the Thénardiers. Fantine owed them 120 francs. He sent them 300 francs, telling them to pay themselves out of it, and bring the child at once to Montreuil-sur-Mer, where her mother, who was sick, wanted her. This astonished Thénardier. "The devil!" he said to his wife. "We won't let go of the child. It might be that this lark will become a milch cow. I guess some silly fellow has been smitten by the mother." He replied by a bill of 500 and some odd francs carefully drawn up. In this bill figured 2 incontestable items for upward of 300 francs. One of a physician, and the other of an apothecary who had attended and supplied eponine and azelma during 2 long illnesses. Cosette, as we have said, had not been ill. This was only a slight substitution of names. So, let me get this straight. Cosette is treated horribly, dressed in rags, hardly gets enough to eat, and she's still somehow healthier than eponine and azelma. I don't get that. Okay. Thénardier wrote at the bottom of the bill, "Received on account of 300 francs." Monsieur Madeleine immediately sent 300 francs more and wrote, "Make haste to bring Cosette." "Christy!" said Thénardier, "we won't let go of the girl." Meanwhile, Fantine had not recovered. She still remained in the infirmary. Monsieur Madeleine came to see her twice a day, and at each visit she asked him, "Shall I see my Cosette soon?" He answered, "Perhaps tomorrow. I expect her every moment." And the mother's pale face would brighten. "Ah," she would say, "how happy I shall be." We have just said that she did not recover. On the contrary, her condition seemed to become worse from week to week. The doctor sounded her lungs and shook his head. Monsieur Madeleine said to him, "Well?" "Has she not a child she is anxious to see?" said the doctor. "Yes." "Well, then, make haste to bring her." Monsieur Madeleine gave a shudder. Fantine asked him, "What did the doctor say?" Monsieur Madeleine tried to smile. "He told us to bring your child at once. That will restore your health." Something along those lines. Okay, here we go. One morning, Monsieur Madeleine was in his office arranging for some pressing business of the mayoralty, when he was informed that Javert, the inspector of police, wished to speak with him. "Let him come in," said he. Javert entered. He respectfully saluted the mayor, who had his back toward him. The mayor did not look up, but continued to make notes on the papers. Javert advanced a few steps, and paused without breaking silence. His whole person expressed abasement and firmness, an indescribable courageous dejection. At last the mayor laid down his pen and turned partly round. Well, what is it? What is the matter, Javert? Javert remained silent a moment, as if collecting himself, then raised his voice with a sad solemnity which did not, however, exclude simplicity. There has been a criminal act committed, Monsieur Maire. What act? An inferior agent of the government has been wanting in respect to a magistrate, in the gravest matter. I come, as is my duty, to bring the fact to your knowledge. Who is this agent? Asked Monsieur Madeleine. I, said Javert. You? I. And who is the magistrate who has complained of this agent? You, Monsieur Maire. Monsieur Madeleine straightened himself in his chair. Javert continued, with serious looks and eyes still cast down. Monsieur Maire, I come to ask you to be so kind as to make charges and procure my dismissal. Monsieur Madeleine, amazed, opened his mouth. Javert interrupted him. You will say that I might tender my resignation, but that is not enough. To resign is honorable. I have done wrong. I ought to be punished. I must be dismissed. Ah, indeed. Why? You will understand, Monsieur Maire. Javert sighed deeply and continued sadly and coldly. Monsieur Maire, 6 weeks ago, after that scene about that girl, I was enraged and denounced you. Denounced me? To the prefecture police at Paris. Monsieur Madeleine, who did not laugh much oftener than Javert, began to laugh. As a mayor having encroached upon the police? As a former convict. The mayor became livid. Javert, who had not raised his eyes, continued. I believed it. For a long while I had suspicions. A resemblance, information you obtained at Faverolles, your immense strength, the affair of old Fauchelevent, and in fact I don't know what other stupidities. But at last I took you for a man named Jean Valjean. Named what? How did you call that name? Jean Valjean. He was a convict I saw 20 years ago, when I was adjutant of the galley guard at Toulon. After leaving the galleys, this Valjean, it appears, robbed a bishop's palace. Then he committed another robbery with weapons in his hands, on a highway, on a little Savoyard. For 8 years his whereabouts have been unknown, and search has been made for him. I fancied, in short, I had done this thing. Anger determined me, and I denounced you to the prefect. Monsieur Madeleine, who had taken up the file of papers again, a few moments before, and with a tone of perfect indifference, and what answer did you get? That I was crazy. Well, they were right. It is fortunate that you think so. It must be so, for the real Jean Valjean has been found. The paper that Monsieur Madeleine held fell from his hand. He raised his head, looked steadily at Javert, and said in an inexpressible tone, Ah. Javert continued. I will tell you how it is, Monsieur Maire. There was, it appears, in the country, near, more French words. Allée des Hautes Clochers, I suppose, a simple sort of fellow who was called Father Champmathieu. Whatever. He was very poor. Nobody paid any attention to him. Such folks live, one hardly knows how. Finally, this last fall, Father Champmathieu was arrested for stealing cider apples from, but that is no consequence. There was a theft, a wall scaled, branches of trees broken. Where Champmathieu was arrested, he had even then a branch of an apple tree in his hand. The rogue was caged. So far it was nothing more than a penitentiary matter. But here comes the hand of Providence. The jail being in bad condition, the police justice thought it best to take him to Arras, where the prison of the department is. In this prison at Arras there was a former convict named Brevet, who was there for some trifle, and who for his good conduct had been made turnkey. No sooner was Champmathieu set down than Brevet cried out, Ha, I know that man! He is a fagot! Look up here, my good man, you are Jean Valjean! Jean Valjean? Who is Jean Valjean? Champmathieu plays off the astonished. Don't play ignorance, said Brevet. You are Jean Valjean. You were in the galleys at Toulon. It was 20 years ago. We were there together. Champmathieu denied it all. Faith, you understand, they fathomed it. The case was worked up, and this was what they found. This Champmathieu, 30 years ago, was a pruner in divers places, particularly in Faverolles. There we lose trace of him. You follow me, do you not? Search has been made at Faverolles. The family of Jean Valjean are no longer there. Nobody knows where they are. You know, in such classes, these disappearances of families often occur. You search, but can find nothing. Such people, when they are not mud, are dust. And then, as the commencement of the story dates back 30 years, there is nobody now at Faverolles who knew Jean Valjean. But search has been made at Toulon. Besides Brevet, there are only 2 convicts who have seen Jean Valjean. They are convicts for life. Their names are Cochepaille and Chenildieu. I suppose. These men were brought from the galleys and confronted with the pretended Champmathieu. They did not hesitate. To them, as well as to Brevet, it was Jean Valjean. Same age, 54 years old, same height, same appearance, in fact, the same man. It is he. And at this time it was that I sent my denunciation to the prefecture at Paris. They replied that I was out of my mind, and that Jean Valjean was at the arrest in the hands of justice. You may imagine how that astonished me. I, who believed that I had here this same Jean Valjean. I wrote to the justice. He sent for me and brought Champmathieu before me. Well, interrupted Monsieur Madeleine. Javert replied, with an incorruptible and sad face, Monsieur Maire, truth is truth. I am sorry for it, but that man is Jean Valjean. I recognized him also. Monsieur Madeleine said in a very low voice, Are you sure? Javert began to laugh, with a suppressed laugh that indicates profound conviction. Sure, but this man pretends not to understand. He says, I am Champmathieu. I have no more to say. He puts on an appearance of astonishment. He plays the brute. Oh, the rascal is cunning. But it is all the same. There is the evidence. 4 persons have recognized him, and the old villain will be condemned. He has been taken to the assizes at Arras. I am going to testify. I have been summoned. Monsieur Madeleine had turned again to his desk and was quietly looking over his papers, reading and writing alternately, like a man pressed with business. He turned again toward Javert. That will do, Javert. Indeed, all these details interest me very little. We are wasting time, and we have urgent business. But did you not tell me you were going to arrest or 10 days on this matter? Sooner than that, Monsieur Maire. What day, then? I think I told Monsieur that the case would be tried tomorrow, and that I should leave by the diligence tonight. Monsieur Madeleine made an imperceptible motion. And how long will the matter last? 1 day at longest. Sentence will be pronounced at latest tomorrow evening, but I shall not wait for the sentence, which is certain. As soon as my testimony is given, I shall return here. Very well, said Monsieur Madeleine, and he dismissed him with a wave of his hand. Javert did not go. Your pardon, monsieur, he said. What more is there? Asked Monsieur Madeleine. Monsieur Maire, there is one thing more to which I desire to call your attention. What is it? It is that I ought to be dismissed. Monsieur Madeleine arose. Javert, you are a man of honor, and I esteem you. You exaggerate your fault. Besides, this is an offense which concerns me. You are worthy of promotion rather than disgrace. I desire you to keep your place. Javert looked at Monsieur Madeleine with his calm eyes, in whose depths it seemed that one beheld his conscience, unenlightened, but stern and pure, and said in a tranquil voice, Monsieur Maire, I cannot agree to that. I ought to treat myself as I would treat anybody else. When I put down malefactors, when I rigorously brought up offenders, I often said to myself, You, if you ever trip, if ever I catch you doing wrong, look out! I have tripped. I have caught myself doing wrong. So much the worse. I must be sent away, broken, dismissed. That is right. I have hands. I can till the ground. It is all the same to me. Monsieur Maire, the good of the service demands an example. I simply ask the dismissal of Inspector Javert. Oh my God. All this was said in a tone of proud humility, a desperate and resolute tone, which gave an indescribably whimsical grandeur to this oddly honest man. Fear the whimsy of Javert! Sorry. We will see, said Monsieur Madeleine, and he held out his hand to him. Javert started back and said fiercely, Pardon, Monsieur Maire, that should not be. A mayor does not give his hand to a spy. He added between his teeth, Spy, yes. From the moment I abused the power of my position, I have been nothing better than a spy. Then he bowed profoundly and went toward the door. There he turned around, his eyes yet downcast. Monsieur Maire, I will continue into the service until I am relieved. He went out. Monsieur Madeleine sat musing, listening to his firm and resolute step as it died away along the corridor. Oh my gosh. Javert is really kind of a puppy when you get down to it. Okay, that was today's chapter. I told you it was fun. See you with the editorial tomorrow. Dragonkeeper19600 signing off. Do not forget my name.